Hi, this is Dave Krahl. This is a tutorial on how to export results from ExtendSim to other applications. I've got a simple model here of a packaging line, and the objective of the model is to determine the optimal buffer sizes. Now, I'm not going to go into the details of the model except to describe the overall process. So we've got a filler, a capper, a labeler, and a case packer. Each one of these will randomly fail, and the size of the buffer, a larger buffer, will make the system more efficient, but we don't want to make our buffers any bigger than they need to be. So we're going to try to figure out what the optimal buffer size is. So I've already run the model, I've already got the results, and I've put them in a database table. So we can see that down here in our results. We can see what the 4 different processes are, the utilization, how much it was down, the number of downtime occurrences there were, and the total throughput. Now I'm going to export this table to 4 different applications. I'm going to export it to Excel, to Access, to Python via a CSV file, and the CSV file can be used for things other than Python. It can be used for Power BI or R or Minitab or any other analysis program that you want to use. And then we're also finally going to look at the scenarios that we generated to determine the overall best configuration in terms of the buffer sizes and export all of those into JMP for analysis. Let's start with Excel. So I've pre-built this block, but I'm going to walk you through the steps of filling out the dialog so that you can export to Excel. It's pretty straightforward. This is a data import-export block. You can find it in the value library, and you just drag the block into the model like any other block. So I've got a pre-configured block here, and let me walk through the dialog. So I say I'm going to export to, so this is results. I'm sending the values from the database table to Excel. So I'm exporting to an Excel spreadsheet from the ExtendSim database. I choose the database, which is packaging line in this case. The table I choose as equipment results from my list of tables, and I can see the index of each of those if I need to. Now I have pre-built a little Excel spreadsheet here. There's not much to it. I've got a blank area where my data is going to drop in, and then I'm going to plot based on that data bar chart of my utilization and my downtime. Then I would open up the spreadsheet. Now it's already open, so I don't need to do anything else here. But then I select the sheet. And if I have multiple sheets, I'd see that. But in this case, I've only got the first sheet. That's all it takes. I'm all ready to export. I did select the option to include the column names. Other option you can choose is to export at the end of the simulation. So once you run the simulation, the results are automatically exported. And if you want, you can close the spreadsheet after you've either imported or exported. Now, a handy feature of this particular block is that I can test it. So I've got the database table all set, and I can click on the Export Now button. And if you remember, we had a blank spreadsheet. We did have the table, the graph in there, but it was blank. There was no data. So if I click on the Export Now and I come and look at the spreadsheet, it's exported my results, and I can see the graph of it. That's all it takes to export to Excel. For Access, we'll use the same block, the data import-export block, but instead of choosing Excel, we'll choose an ADO database and then Access. So we have a choice of a number of databases here that we can use. Access is one of those. So I've created a database table, and I don't really have any fields in here. I've just defined it one default field. The table is equipment results. So I pick the database, packaging line results is the database file, and the table is equipment results, and I pick that from the list. So that's actually pulling that from the Access database. Now, when I go to export, I'll get an error message, and the error message says, wait a minute, the structure of the database table in Access or the external database do not match what's in ExtendSim. Do you want me to replace what's in that external database with what's in ExtendSim? So this is a handy way just to build all the fields automatically. So if I say OK, now I go through the export, and I come back, and I've got some hash marks because they're a little to narrow fields, but all the data is there from my export. That's all it takes to export to Access. For Python and CSV files, I decided to get a little fancier. So I could use the data import export block, and let's just pull up the Access one again and say I could export to a text file, and that would be one way just to export everything to a text file, and I'd be able to do that without any programming, using the same data import export block interface. But I decided to write my own and then automatically start the Python so I could see my results in Python. So this is an equation block. I'll open the equation editor. We can see it here. And it just takes 2 lines. The first line says I'm going to export the database table. So I'm exporting the database packaging line, and then the table we can see here is the equipment results. So that's equipment results right there. And then I'm calling WinShell execute. This is an ExtendSim function that runs an external program. And I'm running Python with an argument of barchart.py. So I'm running the barchart Python script, which I can see right here. So I just generated this with ChatGPT. So nothing special. Did some extra customization, but it didn't take me long at all to put this together to generate a bar chart based on the data coming in. And then this is the results. This is the previous time I've exported it, so we can see what's coming out in the CSV file. So let's run this. And one nice thing again about the equation block is we can test an equation without having to run the simulation. So when I click on test equation, it's going to export that file, run the Python script, and just a moment, we have our bar chart. So the last type of export is a little different. So instead of just exporting a table with our utilizations, I'm going to export multiple scenarios and multiple runs per scenario. Now to generate this information, these results, I've used the scenario manager, and this is in the analysis library. If I open up the scenario manager, we can see I've run 343 runs, and each scenario has a different capacity all the way up from 0 to 1200 units for each of the buffers. And I've captured the throughput. I can see the throughput, the standard deviation, the throughput, the utilization of the various machines as well. What I really care about is the throughput. That's what I want to maximize here. So to export this to JMP or any other application, I go to the Export tab, and I'm going to export complete results. So this sends all of the information, all the scenarios, and all of the individual runs to an external application or text file. And I can choose from this. I can export it to a database, to Excel, to Minitab, or to JMP or a text file. So I'm going to use JMP here, and I just check JMP and complete results, and then I say export report. And when I come into JMP, we'll see it actually will be filling out this table for me here. Let me shrink this down just a hair so we can see it. And we can see our scenarios on the left, the capacities, each scenario. We can see I've run each one of these 10 times. So I've got repeated rows. And then I can use JMP to do analysis in here, such as box plots or fitting a function or a neural network so that I can profile those. So thank you very much. That's a quick tutorial on exporting results from ExtendSim. This is Dave Krahl. Good luck and happy modeling. Thank you.